Okay, good morning. Welcome to coaching. Today, we are talking about working with buyers, page 110. We're continuing our discussion on this. I've got a lot to add today. I am your host, Will Cooper. Obviously, our count is down this week because I am not Mike Fondario. Dang it. Dang it. I want to be more like Mike and have 100 people attend coaching. So thanks for covering last week, Mike. I really appreciate it. I know I had a great discussion, heard a lot of good feedback. Let's pick up where we left off. All right, I'm going to set the tone of something. You know, a lot of times, guys, when I approach a subject, I like to approach it from reason and why, and remember what we're trying to accomplish here. So I'm going to share a video that is, it's a commercial. It's a 1-minute commercial that I guess Verbo is the way they want to say it, or VRBO. Just take a notice of the tone of how they're marketing and getting their messaging out, and see how that relates to our buyers. Okay, let me just share that really quick. I thought this messaging was really good. Okay, share sound, Joe. I got that on, and I'm sharing just desktop, I guess. Yep. Is that right?
Or you could select the app. That'll work.
Okay.
Go back to close that and go back to share. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, sorry guys, little cumbersome.
This is the canoe that a young couple will get gloriously lost in together. This is the checkers game where grandson and granddad will bond. These are the woods where a daughter will tell a mother she's nervous about starting a new school. This is the pool where cannonball records will be broken. This is where new parents will remember life before becoming new parents. And this is the kitchen where the new boyfriend will unofficially become family. These are the Verbo vacation homes waiting for you to fill with your family. Your together awaits. Find it with Verbo.
I've told this story before, but I was in the living room taking trying to
vacations and even staycations have been and continue to be an absolute must in our modern day society. Even as C9.
Okay, so I was in a living room. Look, I'd been there about an hour and a half already, toured the property, answered a lot of questions. They were, we're putting a house on the market. They lived there for 20 years. And I noticed that the wife, Allison was her name. And I said, "Are you okay?" And I didn't want to misread it. I thought maybe she might have tears in her eyes, but I wasn't sure. I said, Allison, are you okay?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm all right." And she looked at her, sorry, jeez. She looked at her husband, and they're like, "You know what? This table, Will, in this living room is the last time I had dinner with my dad, who passed away, years ago." And so this message that VRBO is putting out there is really the reason why people need a home. And I hope that it's never lost on us what we're trying to accomplish, that there's these moments that happen in the walls of a home that are really critical in life. They're places where, geez, I got to get myself, okay, I blame this on my 4 daughters. I mean, they rub off on you, you guys. I'm telling you. This is their fault. We did have a dog, but it was a she. Her name was Molly. So I'm telling you, sorry. but I look back on my own life and the memories with my kids growing up, and you know, there are a lot of really special things that happen in the walls of homes. So maybe when we're a little fatigued, and maybe when we're feeling a little overwhelmed, will you write this down? That I think, first of all, we acknowledge that challenges are real. And I have two questions for you that I want you to think about. And although this could certainly be a Sunday school lesson, but let's think about these questions from a real estate standpoint. Who are you and why are you here? And I know we hear about that in Sunday school sometimes, but think about that as why are you here as a real estate professional, and who are you in this role, and this you know, whole movie of life, and the movie of this chapter. This scene in their movie is finding a home. And so who are you? Would you mind sharing your thoughts on the chat about that, about those two things? And thanks for the encouragement, you guys. I appreciate it. Dang, that really caught me off guard. Sorry about that, but thank you for the encouragement. I love you right back. So who are you to your clients? How would you, what words would you use to describe that, on who you are to your clients? Will you write that in? I'd love to hear your plethora of thoughts. We can paint a little picture here with words. Okay, Gina says, I'm a matchmaker. I feel like I'm a counselor. I listen. Stress reliever. Good. An advocate. I like that, Britt. A trusted advocate. A trusted advisor. Hopefully their friend. Thanks, Brooke. You know, Mark Erickson used to say that all the time, that when he was prospecting, he was looking for new friends. And I think that that's really a good way to look at it. Let's answer the next part of this question. So why are you here? I guess it could be phrased as, why are you important? So why are you important in this relationship with the client? Paint some word pictures there too. And I appreciate that. Paige, I really like looking at presentations as more as a teaching moment. So I really do like that. If I go in with it, I've got something to educate you on, then I don't have a sale agenda. And it comes off more authentic and more sincere, I think, when we present that way. Emotional and professional support, protect, educate, lifelong relationships. So my reason is to support in a very stressful time. Jeff, that's so true. And they need you guys. And maybe that's what I'm trying to get at here is I try to make the process of home buying a pleasant experience. Can you do that when it's this challenging? When they're going to miss out on many homes? Yeah, you can. It's hard. It is very difficult to do. Yeah, now more than ever, it's needed. So I hope you remember that. I remember one of my mentors would say, when people get lost, it's just for two reasons. One, they forget who they are and why they're here. So if we're getting lost in business, if you're getting lost in this whole chaos and you're feeling over fatigued, and maybe your year is not turning out the way you want it to be because you've written a lot of offers for a lot of buyers and they're not getting accepted. And maybe your buyers are not even in a position to compete against these other buyers. I mean, maybe that's the reality of it. You know, I think if you step back and remember that all you really can control is how you are in this relationship with these clients. You just simply cannot have the only finish line being a closing. Don't grade yourself that way. Grade yourself on the little things that are victories that you do every single day with someone. That's a much better way to grade yourself. If you grade yourself only on closings, then you're going to find yourself only caring about closings. And it's much more than that. I know we know that, but just a reminder. I hope you wrote those things down. Let's do another one here. So you know, Steve Roney brought this up. We're very concerned as a leadership group about fatigue. We're aware of it. we're worried about it. We're worried that there's a segment of our agents who are very fatigued. And so what has changed and what is different? And I promised you in sales meeting we would talk about this. And one of the things that has changed in the 2021 market is that we did not, if you're on the Wasatch back, you didn't have a mud season. If you're on the Wasatch front, you didn't have a holiday season. In other words, it took off last June, and it took off in a big way, and it has not stopped. We did not slow down. There was never a break. So for some of our agents, we have not rested. So I would like us to take a look at how we deal with this, on how we deal with fatigue. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I can't be expected to have all the answers. So, you know, that's why Joe's on the call, because he has all the answers. So that's why Mike is here, because he has all the answers. But I think together we can figure this out. So can I pose a few things? Well, first of all, how many of you are feeling fatigued? Or maybe I worried if I tell you you're fatigued, you're like, well, I wasn't before you said, Will, but now that I think about it, I am tired. I am worn out. So how many are feeling a little bit fatigued by the market? Anyone? Yes? Okay, I see Jeff. Those are on video on the first page are saying yes. Tara, Leslie, Natalie. You know, Natalie, you guys have been in the business a long time. And of course, it's a family business for Natalie. So that's saying something. Linda, same thing. You know, you guys who've got years behind you. And I don't know if you know Jeff Topham, but he's a good friend of mine. And I've known Jeff since he was first in the business. And that's been how long ago, Jeff? It's like, is it 15, 18 years? You could probably answer that, 17 years. And for Jeff to be tired, as high-level professional that he is, that tells you something. Allison, I'm exhausted by trying to regroup every day. And yeah, I mean, I think that there's different levels. It's not the same for everybody. I mean, I get that. We've got agents having their best year already. We had best years last year. We have some who are not having their best year. So, you know, let's be really, you know, let's just be really careful. And Peter, you know, I'm not tired. I want more. Good. So maybe we could transition into something. And, you know, you've heard me talk about perspective before with the sphere, that we look at things differently. So I wanted to show you a book that's called The Game of Work. I would love to know if anyone has ever seen this book. It's a very old book, but I would love to know if this came out in the late 80s. Anyone ever seen this book before? The Game of Work? It's kind of a new concept. I was 10. Great. Mike, wow. Okay, so I actually happen to have one of my very first business cards is taped to the front of that. Look at that hair. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I used a blow dryer. Yeah, I definitely used a blow dryer. That was my first business card. Well, I think it was actually my second business card. There's another one where I look 15. But yeah, I bought this book in 89. And what it proposes, let me give you a quote. Chapter 1, people will pay for the privilege of working harder than they will work when they are paid. Anyone give me evidence of that? Now, granted, I already know the answer to this, but looking sharp, Will, thanks. Yeah, when you're sharing a blow dryer with your wife, that was interesting. I will not share a hair straightener, though. I don't see how that would ever, like, I would never have a need for a hair straightener. But I can tell you, my girls, the first thing they ever said to me in the morning was, Dad, where's a hair straightener? I'm like, honey, do you want some breakfast? No, Dad, hair straightener. It's like, honey, I'll make you some eggs if you want, you know, like before school. Dad, shh, hair straightener. So I love raising those girls. But people will pay for the privilege of working hard, and they will when they're paid. Any evidence of that? Give me some evidence of someone who's willing to work harder, like put more energy behind something, and they're not paid. They actually paid to do it. Do you know that you have to pay to run a marathon? You have to there's an entry fee, you know? And if you want to run the Boston Marathon, it's $300 to run 26 miles by yourself. It's $300. Who would do that? So we will pay. What about all the sporting things that you might do? Mountain biking? Where's my mountain bikers? Where are my skiers? How much energy did it take? Some of you diehard skiers will hike the mountain, right? And then ski down. That's a lot harder, right? So what is it about this? Mike, you said you had the book when you were 10. So what is it about this game of work? I mean, what's the deal? What's the lesson here? I'm assuming you remember it, Mike.
I really did absorb it at 10, but it's since escaped me a little bit. Definitely have to reread it.
Let me give you one of the best stories. I'll give you the best story in the whole book. Okay. Teenager goes to work at a grocery store. The grocery store has glass bottles. They come in, there's massive bins of glass bottles. They've all got to be organized into these trays. And each tray has like 100 or something like that, or 500. I can't remember how many. There's a certain amount of number that've got to go in the trays. And the manager takes the new kid and he comes to the back and there's a clock above the bin. He says, "You see that?" He says, "Jeff." He says, "You met Jeff, right?" And the little kid, kid says, let's call him Chad. Chad says, "Yeah, I met Jeff." Well, Jeff has been here for 4 years and his best time is 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And it was like game on, right? You take these bottles, you put them in the bin. So young Chad, 15 years old, tries it. 10 minutes. No technique, no training, no education. No one showed him how. And, he's like, "I'm going to do this." 10 minutes, like Jeff's time, veteran Jeff just killed that at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. And he stands as the record today. So the game of work was meant to take things that are hard and challenging and to make them fun and enjoyable and by choice. So maybe if we remembered why we're doing this and the purpose behind it, we choose to engage in hard things, knowing they're hard, but we still choose to do it. And somehow they become easier. Somehow they become better. I mean, like, I know it's hard to run a marathon. I get it. It's a long time. And I'll tell you what, mile 18 to 22, that sucks. I've done it. You're tired. You're done. You're quite like, you're thinking, why in the world ever do this? But if you remember why you're doing it, then you tend to transcend it. Okay. All right. Let's learn from Stephen Covey. Okay. So what do highly effective people do? And I got a tip for us. So this is going back to kind of reflection as to what and why we're doing this. Okay. All right. So this is, "I know of no more encouraging fact than the unquestionable ability of a man to evaluate his life by conscious endeavor." You kind of have to read that one a couple of times. "I know of no more encouraging fact than an unquestionable ability of a man to evaluate his life by conscious endeavor." I mean, this is why I started off with those two key questions. Who are you to your client, and why are you there for your client? And what is their reason? So the reason is because at that chessboard, Grandpa is going to teach a very valuable life lesson. And at that kitchen table, hopes and dreams of the family will be shared. Right? And that matters to everyone. It's more valuable than any home and the appraisal value that we always get caught up in. That's the reason, is because of family and relationships. And to get from where we are today to there, we've got to go through all these challenges of the market, which is why I'm here. I'm here to help that. I'm here to take you there, and you can trust me to do it. Now, let's make no mistake about it. It's really challenging. It's more challenging today than it's ever been to buy a home. And yet some things are easier, like lending did seem to get easier than it was certainly before, in the recession times, it's easier. But the process of winning the bid has never been more challenging. So we've got to be aware of that and acknowledge it. So game of work, highly effective people, 2 great tips. A couple more notes on this. If you're taking notes, how do we cope with fatigue and things like that? Write this down, calendar rest. So remember, the Iditarod was the sled race from Nome, Alaska, or from Fairbanks to Nome, Alaska. For 3 decades, the fastest time, I believe, was about 24 hours. And that was a big accomplishment. It was held by a particular racer for a long, long time. In came a new racer in the early 70s who loved his dogs, who would not just run his dogs without rest. He started resting his dogs and crossed the finish line, I believe, and I may be getting these hours a little wrong, but if I remember right, he blew it away by 6 hours, which everyone thought could not be done. So calendar your rest. Shane Roxburgh, are you on? You and I had a discussion this morning. Is Shane on? He could be unmuted.
Not seeing him.
Shoot, he may have jumped on and then jumped back off.
Oh, wait, no, there he is. Okay.
Oh, he's here? Okay.
Found him.
Shane, are you there? Hi. Okay, Shane, unmute yourself. I kind of like this idea. Shane kind of broke this rest into like a daily, weekly, monthly thing. I think you got it from your wife, Kat, right?
Yeah, she's the smart one. So the big deal is I always put my head down and work really, really hard and put a lot of people's first. It's kind of what we do in our careers. And we don't take enough time to breathe. So she's helped me kind of take a look at, I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to plan on this vacation in 3 months. She's like, no. What do you want selfishly to do for yourself today or this week or in a month? So we can honestly say, I'm going to go kill it for 8 hours today. But I know at the end of the day, I get this. Or if I go do that one workout to the point I want to throw up, then everything else is easier. So we just got to have those small wins or those selfish moments that and I just had the conversation with her this morning. She's like, no, what do you want today for yourself? I'm like, well, I'd like to do this for the kids and I'd like this to do this for you. She's like, no, but what about you? And it kind of circles me back to going, that's right. I'm the gasoline tank for a lot of my clients. They come to me and fill up and get that inspiration or get that help. And if you're not filling up the tank, they're getting fumes from you.
That's right.
So it's kind of what our new process is lately for us is going, all right, it's about 9 o'clock and we need to turn it off. So.
Yeah, that's really good advice. You guys agree? You agree? You've got to look, I know there's a lot of moms here and I watch my mother and I watch my wife and I know that, look, I'm not trying to minimize the fact that a lot of happiness and fulfillment comes from helping others. That's so true, as long as you have the ability and the energy to do that. Because what happens when you run out of the ability to help someone? And I think that that's where the wisdom here is that what Kat and Shane are talking about is there are times where you do need to take care of yourself. And so when you're feeling fatigued, I think it's time to analyze and say, am I taking care of myself enough? And look, my morning routine, and I know Shane, when Shane says, work out till you vomit, I'm sure he's probably done it. He's a fit guy. But I like to study and I like to exercise in the morning, and I know that's kind of my time. So I have something to give. And look, I can't be selfish about me all the time. And I'm not, no one's proposing that. But if you don't fill your own tank, like Shane said, you're running on fumes. So that's the principle. Calendar your rest. Calendar rest can be short rest throughout the day. Even look, a marathon has aid stations, right? They've got aid stations. You get a banana, you get Gatorade, you get water, you got an aid station. Okay. So it's a great metaphor. So stop and rest and enjoy it. Remember the dogs and the sled. Okay. The next thing is kind of what Shane was also talking about. Write this one down as another, remedy for this. It's time blocking important activities. the reason why time blocking is a great way to look at it is because it's only time regulated. It's not like checking boxes and say, well, I did 5 of these or I did 10 of these. I did as many as I could or whatever I could that was effective within a time frame. And then when that time frame is over, I do move on to the next thing. Look, a lot of successful people manage their lives like this because they can be present. They're present at that moment for that thing, right? So, because you don't want, look, one of my mentors also told me, don't be at church thinking of work, and don't be at work thinking of church, and don't be with the family thinking about work. Have you ever caught yourself doing that? Where you're very, and it's constant management, so to be present, you say, look, this is my time allocation for this, and then you can make it effective. So then we find ourselves not just checking boxes. One of the pitfalls of saying making 5 contacts a day is somehow we go, well, I made my 5 and that was it, instead of thinking about what's effective. Maybe 1 effective contact a day is way better than having 5 that are not effective, right? So think about time blocking and being specific, with your time. In time blocking and prospecting, it's reach outs and drop bys. And remember this, guys, you can always calendar things that need to be done. If you're feeling overwhelmed, don't calendar everything in one day. All right, calendar them throughout the week, make them repetitive appointments. This was the power hour concept, right? And so look at Rachel's comment there, and scheduling your personal time like scheduling an appointment with clients. Very, very, very true. Make that a commitment to yourself. Okay. Thanks, Shane, for your input there. I appreciate that. Okay. All right. Let's go to, I'll tell you what, let's tackle this, what has changed on page 111. I think that's, Mike, about what you said where we needed to pick up where we left off.
It was, it's a mildly educated guess there. It's probably close.
Probably
There's somebody
close.
on this call who remembers it much better than I do.
Where we stopped. Well, I think some of these things, you guys, we could read through. Maybe we shouldn't do that on this coaching session, but I would like to draw your attention. Maybe go to page 112 and look at where it says distance from job. And in that statistic, we know that that's declined. Okay, we'll get new survey results next year on this, but we know that distance from job is declining. If you go to page 113, convenient to job is dropped down the list, but convenient to entertainment, leisure, and activities is climbed. And the convenient to park, recreational facilities is also climbed. How far? We'll see what the survey says next year. By raise of hands, how many of you did make a list where we talked about, this is a month or so ago, we talked about what changed in 2021 or 2020? Do you remember making a list? Yes, head nods or no? I made it on page 116 because there was space there. Anyone else do that? And I've got 8 items. I added 4 more. So I thought we'd go through the list of what's changed and then how we can cope with them. Does that sound okay? That sound good? Okay, thanks, Britt. Okay, Kimmy, thanks. Oh, Kimmy, you did make okay, good. Good. All you A students on the first page who got up this morning and showered and did your hair, congratulations. I commend you. Okay, so what's changed? Here's the whole list. Y'all ready? More important than ever is the buyer consultation. I have been beating this drum for a long time now. Some of you are probably getting tired of me saying it, but the buyer consultation is like a marketing presentation to a seller. We pause the lead conversion and we have a discussion about how we go from where we are to where we're trying to go. In the buyer consultation, you can look at page 119. And there is a list there that says, here are the few topics that are covered in the buyer consultation. Matter of fact, while we're there on page 119, we're going to write in some notes here. Let's add a few things to that list. So in that list, obviously, is there property criteria, technologies used for searching, earnest money amounts, timing, deadlines, financing process, appraisals, inspections, agent's role in compensation for sell by owner agreements, how that works, or we deal with for sell by owners, buyer broker agreement, how we look at properties without an agent, and here's some more to the list: due diligence checklist, addendum. Remember where we had them signed about the complex contractual strategies we may use? We add that. So there's warnings here about high demand on property and low inventory. So along with that is complex offer terms. Remember, one of our agents, veteran agents, said, "Will, what would you do?" And I said, "I'll tell you exactly what I would do. I would lay out all of these contracts on a conference room table if I'm in person, ideally, or at their house. I'd lay them all out there and say, these are our legal assets that we're likely to be analyzing whether we should use or not, and what strategies we may use. And this is how they all work. And if you start showing the complexity in detail, then you're naturally starting to present value, right? So they say things like, wow, this is really complicated. Well, that's a really good question. Are we prepared to have non-refundable earnest money? How's that? Do we even want to do that? Are we in the position to do that? Can we pay above appraisal? Why should we pay above appraisal? I mean, we shouldn't be talking about that when we're trying to get an offer in before a deadline. We should be talking about that early in the relationship. Everyone agree? So that's the buyer consultation. Let's go back to, so I wrote all this on page 116. Here's item number 2. So obviously it's complex contract strategies to win the bid. That's number 2. Number 3 is full confidence in my lender. There was a time where we could get pre-qualified and then, move into an offer. Can't do that very well today because of the decisions that we're up against. We're going to have full confidence in our lender that our deal is solid, that our ability to finance is solid. Number 4, this is on the listing side, that we have this pre-active listing strategy now. This is all because of clear cooperation. Okay. Matter of fact, I've got a little saying here for you. It seems like the off-market status is the new active, and the new and active is the new sell pending. So, how do we search off-market and active listings? And that's what the world we're in. We're trying to find the right property for them, find the right home. It's not like it used to be. We're having to do some cumbersome things now. We're having to go on an intranet site. We've got to look and see what we have in inventory. We're looking at emails. We're asking other agents internally. That is not what we had in 2019, right? Okay, so that was number 4. Number 5 is what I was just saying. We have to search intranet sites and ask competitors about active listings or off-market listings. Completely different new way to search. If you're not talking about this in the buyer consultation, you're missing a major benefit of what you bring to the table, especially being at Berkshire Hathaway with 500 agents in our agent base. So we're going to have a lot of off-market inventory that we can search through. Number 6. Well, I already told you this one. Off-market is the new active. Active is the new sell pending. I think that's just a way to say, again, very, very challenging. This is all what's changed in 2021. It's very, very challenging to find the right property. Number 7, no seasonal slowdown. So this is agent fatigue. And this is certainly something that we've never seen. I mean, even in the hottest markets, we slowed down, and around like after Thanksgiving, the valley would slow down dramatically. I'm assuming, Rachel, would that be true? Did Moab kind of have a seasonal slow and then peaks and valleys and stuff like that? I'm assuming that would be the case. Here's another one, and I saved it for last because if we don't address this, we're in trouble. There's 63 of us on the call. I've never seen a market where the agent is offering a part of their commission in order to win the bid. Let that sink in. You're a listing agent. You're getting multiple offers. One of the agents says, I'll take 2% if that helps my client win the bid. I've never seen that before. So it's a new challenge, and it's not an easy thing to, Mike, that's really cool that your camera follows you. Wow. Impressive. But I mean, we've never seen that. So how do we cope with it? You know, and how do you cope with it on your side? If you're going up against another agent who's willing to reduce their commission in order to win the bid, what about you and your 3%? I'm telling you, if you do not show value, if you don't stop the lead conversion and have a meeting with a buyer and say, we've got to dive into this. We got to take issue by issue and talk through all of these things. Those points, again, we're on page 19. You talk to each one of those over, take it slow, take notes. Then you're going to be looked at as you run the risk of being looked at as if you're in the way of them getting a home instead of helping them get a home. Right? So I'm kind of pleading with us to really dial that in. How many of you are making that, or do you feel like maybe I should take a poll here? On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you do this with buyers? You know, I mean, could you give me a rating here? I mean, how well are you handling your, could everyone vote? That's 63. Could you just give me a number here? How well do you have this buyer consultation meeting? Mike, did you talk about this last week?
Yeah, actually, we spent quite a bit of time on it, and I was pleasantly surprised to discover that the majority, seemed like the vast majority of everybody in attendance was doing some form of buyer consultation.
Okay. All right, good. Seeing some good numbers. I would really encourage everyone to please vote. Joe, afterwards, can I get the notes? And if maybe you could email me the notes, and I'll take a quick look at this.
I believe that is possible, yes.
Okay, thanks. We've done it before, so I appreciate it. All right. All right, let's see. We're 10:10. Are there anyone? Let's talk about how we're going to deal with this. Maybe Joe, you could help me weigh in on this. All right, let's get a running start. Clear cooperation, remember, demanded that if you take a listing, you've got to have it on in 5 days. Exclusive right to sell, 5 days, and it's got to be on the MLS. It needs to be shown within 7 days. If you public market anything, sign goes up. If you email blast, you have 1 day. And the reason for this was because agents were keeping pocket listings. That's the negative term of holding a listing intentionally in hopes that the agent themselves will sell it. It can hurt the seller, as you guys know, because it doesn't expose the property to more buyers who would likely pay more. And it can be very, very harmful for the seller, therefore harmful to the agent, the industry, and so on. So that's the reason for clear cooperation. The unintended consequences of clear cooperation is that now all we did was kind of just move the cheese, and we just kind of moved the line. It didn't really change anything. We still have the same problem because now we're just all excluding it from the MLS, and I think rightfully so, given our circumstances. We exclude it from the MLS. It goes into off-market status, and now we have to search it on internet sites that are certainly not designed, you know, for robust searching, right? Not designed for that. But absence of the internet site, if we don't have anything at all, we don't even have a list. Okay. So one of the voices was like, well, look, you know, this is wrong. We should change it. Well, yeah, but I don't think that we need to undo clear cooperation, because if we did, especially in this market, we're going to see a lot of people holding listings back and harming clients. You know, they get a naive seller, that agent's just going to sell it themselves and bring one offer to the seller and say, well, I got it done. And it's very sad when someone becomes transactional and not focus on the results. And always remember the discrepancy, guys. we are not transactionally centered. We are not, our finish line is not just to close the property. Our finish line is to net the seller the overall best bottom line and have an overall better net experience. So it's net, net, net. That's why you hire Brookshire. That's why we exist. That is my purpose. So clear cooperation, I think, needs to stay there, but we've got a problem with low inventory. And look, all the data shows this isn't stopping anytime soon. So we might as well change our perspective of it. So this is why 2 weeks ago we did affirmations. We've really got to rewire our heads to say, I like the challenge. I'm more valuable in the challenge. The challenge gives me opportunity to show value. And so I embrace it all, right? So I'm never more needed. That's very true. Never more needed. So that's our saving grace. You know, the seller who gave one of our agents an objection says, hey, you know, I'm only going to list for 5% because it's going to sell over the weekend. Well, that's not true. You know, the work didn't just begin on Friday and end on Monday. I mean, since when was that a thing? You know, we've got 2 weeks at least to get this house even ready for the market because we know there's buyers waiting. So in order to get the best buyer out of the buyer pool, we need to have everything ready before it becomes active. Different ball game, right? So we're changing our perspective of the complexity and we celebrate it. It's an affirmation. I love that it's challenging, right? This is the idea that I'd pay to run a marathon. I mean, I would. I have. I'll probably do it again, you know, and it makes my hands sweat every single time I hit register. Like, why am I doing this, you know? But I can embrace it. Okay. Joe, you made some changes, I guess, to that intranet site. Maybe we could even show it. Do you want to show that? Just
Sure.
show everybody where it is in case everyone, you know, we haven't all seen it. These are, guys, I wouldn't refer to these exclusive listings. It's technically not the right, they're off-market listings, soon to be active, right? They're going to be marketed, but they're really off-market is the proper lingo for that or terminology. An exclusive listing, if you remember from school, remember when we took the test? An exclusive list, you're like, yes, well, I remember, yeah, all the days. See, and I loved all that time, but look, an exclusive listing is one where a seller can sell it themselves and not pay commission. Don't you remember that? It's not an exclusive listing. I know we want to use it as an adjective to say it's exclusively now with Brookshire. Yes, but it's not an exclusive listing. It's an off-market listing. Just remember that, okay? It's an off-market listing. So Joe, do you want to show that real quick?
Yeah, I was just typing some quick edits that now say off market since.
Okay.
Since, you know, I don't ever want to be afoul of the law. Let's get this up. All right, so what we did, guys, and this is phase one. Eventually, this will actually feed right into RealScout. So over here on the intranet, if you go left-hand side, this says exclusive listings. I didn't change that one, Will, because I know that Courtney is sending out links with that say exclusive listings. But if you'll notice, it now says BHHS you talk about off-market listings. Okay. Real-time edits, right? So what you have here is a summary of the listings that are currently not posted on the MLS, but they do have paperwork. And so if you come in here and you can take any one of these things, you can quickly see this is a single family. It's a $650,000 listing, and you see the address. For more details, you just click on the card and it'll load it up for you. So you can get agent notes and square footage, lot acreage, bedrooms, photos, anything that might be there. This happens to be Miss Leslie Clement's listing. And you got her information and phone number. So that's just how it operates. And then when you want to load one, you simply click on this link here. And this takes you to this form, which will very quickly say off-market property form. You put in a quick description, basically the address is what we want here, property type, and then you just go down and fill this in. We kept this very, very short on purpose. The idea wasn't that this be an extra step for you or an extra step for your team to put in all this information. So you can see it's just the real basic stuff. address, city, state, zip code, square footage, beds, bath, projected listing price. We know sometimes we don't have that, but we do want the price in there. You can upload photos right from your phone if you want. This is important because this tells me when I might want to take a look to pull off an off-market listing off of our intranet because it's live on the MLS. And then, of course, you want to make sure that your contact information is in there and correct so that if one of our agents takes a look at that, then they'll be able to get a hold of you and ask you some more questions. The big thing here is that this all feeds into a very massive, complex database that is enabled for our Real Scout platform. Now, if you guys will remember, if you haven't been a Real Scout lately, I strongly suggest go look at some of the training videos on Real Scout on that. But eventually what will happen is you'll fill out a form almost identical to the one that I just showed, and it will load on the intranet, but it will also load on Real Scout. Now, what advantage does that give you? Well, Real Scout is designed as a better search tool for your clients. So basically you're sending them leads from Real Scout. They're using Real Scout to interact with you, what they liked about the house, what they didn't like about the house. It gives you basically bi-directional information about what's going on. It's connected to all three of our MLSs. So anything that fits their search range in terms of price, square footage, all that kind of stuff, they will automatically be fed. And with the off-market listing piece, they will actually get those notifications. So, the fight here is obviously trying to find inventory so you can send that to your clients. And what this does is it allows your clients to receive the same type of notification that there's a new listing coming on market, even though it's an off-market listing. It follows all the clear cooperation rules because it's not publicly advertised. So it just goes straight right through and it makes all that work. So this is the first step. We should probably have the Real Scout integration done probably the first part of June. We're actually doing testing on that right now. But then one of the big questions that came is, hey, can I get notified when somebody puts something new on the intranet? And we're trying to do a manual process of that, of having our office administrators send out emails at the end of the day to say, hey, there's been 2 new added, whatever. But the more important part is that with Real Scout, that becomes fully automated. So when a new listing gets put in by one of you on the off-market listing sheet, and you have a client that is looking for a property that fits those search parameters that you've already set up in Real Scout, they get notified immediately. So not only do you get notified that happened, but your clients get notified. And basically the idea is that now you can basically come into an environment where your clients get offered properties that don't even hit the MLS yet, right? And all of that follows legalities and everything else that needs to happen. So that's going to be pretty slick. So get used to it, get in there, play around with it, take a look at it. And always feedback's always welcome. My coding skills are not, shall we say, professional level, but I know enough to really destroy things when I get to put my fingers on the keyboard. So that's the off-market listings, Will.
Nice. Very good. Look, I hope you already had this thought. I wrote it down again. You should be presenting the intranet site and where the properties are found, these off-market listings, in your buyer consultation meetings. It's a huge value. They're there. It's not saying that there's a property waiting for them that fits their criteria. That's not the point. The point is that it's a place, it's a launching pad. Properties go in, they go out, right? So we're there, we're catching them before they become active. That's why you show it to them, okay? Because the off market is soon going to be active. So it's a way for us to get ahead of the game on those listings that are being prepared to be launched to active. So make sure you present it that way. So you need to show them that. And it's a really great advantage of being with Brookshire. Look, these things are overly compelling. Like if I added that along with legal assets and the complexity of winning a bid and these addendums that we've made internally, and you need to tell people, look, these are internally created by our attorney and our counsel. So and the purpose of them is to help you win the bid against the other buyers. Right. So showing that along with the intranet site are compelling reasons to have you as a buyer's agent. Okay, go to, you know what, I think I'm just going to show this on the screen. Let's go to page 114. And I wanted to bring up something about how we can simply present, whoops, sorry, I got to head here. 114. 117, sorry. 16, 14, here we go, 14. All right. Negotiation points. I could probably show this in a couple of different ways, but this is a summary of negotiations. This is under, what they want most from real estate agents and, help negotiating the terms of the sale. Price negotiations is 11. Well, if I added those together, that's 25%. Paperwork is another 6. So 25 plus 6 is 31. You kind of get the idea that all of these things are very, very important to the buyer. Everything in the rep sheet that has a money attached to it, I've kind of listed over here. Certainly the price of the property, but all of those things are the money. Then we have terms. And would you write in right here? Would you write conditions or contingencies? Because think about how sometimes we remove those, we alter them. Remember the financing condition, the no financing condition addendum. Excuse me. That one we can write in here. So we explained that we may alter some of the basic terms of the rep sheet. Over on short-term leases, this is also, I think I'd probably change the headline here, but we also have occupancy and possession. And we're finding out that it's really nice when a buyer offers a little longer possession to a seller in order to move out. In other words, no more of this upon recording. I never liked it in the beginning. I thought it was ridiculous to ask someone to move out upon recording. I get it. The buyer wrote it. They want in. They're paying for it. I get it. I understand it. But if you've ever been on the seller side, it's ridiculous to think that you're moving out in one day, right? So maybe we need to make that a little bit more appealing, and we talk about that. Now, I could simplify the negotiations into those 3 points, okay? Obviously, there's deadlines, so we didn't miss that. But under terms, we've got deadlines, included items, and also conditions or contingencies. Sarah, I hope that answered it. Yeah. Conditions or contingencies. These are rights to cancel. So we may modify that to make our offer better. Okay. So something to consider. Because when I'm looking at this graph, I mean, finding the right home speaks to the intranet site we just showed, right? And then the rest of this, well, number 2, number 3, number 5. Yeah, number 5. I mean, that's another 30% of what they want from their agent. And just a reminder that we speak the language of benefit. Maybe you want to write that here. I've said this before, but speak language of benefit. In other words, you don't speak in lingo or speak about feature. You speak about why we have it. So why do we have the intranet site? See this line right here? Help you find the right home. That's the reason we have it. Right?
I don't know. It also sounds like a pretty good answer to the commissionectomy question, right? When it says, why should I pay you 6%? Well, I'm getting listings before any of the sites you're currently using to search on do. How's that?
Right.
Is that worth 1%? Is that worth 2%?
Right. I mean, and again, we bring them back to the reason. I think that's the reason we're doing this. This is the video we just watched. I mean, we want the right home. We want the right place, because all of those things that go on in that home matter. And I think that if you do, I know that if you speak that way and present that way, then it's going to reveal itself naturally without you sounding like a salesperson. Okay. So, all right. So that's that. Joe, could you find the lyrics to Rush's song Marathon?
Do you want me to just start singing it?
Let me stop it. If you find it, put it up on the screen, will you?
You got it.
So look, Rush has a lot of songs that people have never heard. Okay. Maybe you don't even know who Rush is, which would not be the first time I've met someone who goes like, oh, you mean Rush Limbaugh? And I'm like, no, the band from Canada, come on. I'm not saying this is my favorite song, but when I think about fatigue, when I think about long distance, I think about this one. Can you guys see the lyrics, or do you have to, are you sharing it, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, you are. Okay, got it. Okay, you're over on my other screen. So the chorus is something that always resonates in my mind. Matter of fact, my daughter used it as her high school quote. So yes, I did brainwash all of my daughters into being Rush fans. But the peak is never past. I hope that I'm wearing my Rush t-shirt for coaching the next meeting. Okay. All right, Kimmy. Yes. Yes. Which concert are we talking? Okay. The first one? You went to the first Rush? Oh, that was your first concert. No? Okay. Got it. Well, I've got all the concert t-shirts. They're saved. They're protected. They're in a vault. But peak is never past to me says something like it's optimism. No matter where we are in life, no matter how old you are, young you are, no matter what challenge you have ahead of you or what you're coping with, that if we have this idea that the peak of my life and the peak of who I am and what I'm becoming is never in my past. In other words, what I am today and what I can be tomorrow is always could be my best version of myself is very optimistic. And I hope that can fuel you. That you're better today than you were yesterday. You're learning new things and you are winning. You are sharpening the saws on many of these areas. So the peak is never past. The next line is something always fires the light that gets in their eyes. And lyrics mean different things to different people, but to me, this is something that's a passion. And it's the light in their eyes. Like imagine going up to a marathoner and saying, why in the world are you doing this? And you look in their eyes and they're like, I'm so excited. I'm going to do this today. I'm reaching for a personal best, or I'm doing my first marathon, or this is my third marathon, or I'm running with a friend today, or whatever the thing is. You can see a light in their eyes that they're excited about it. You don't think our clients can see that? You don't think they notice whether or not you're passionate about what you're doing? I know they do. So that's always a good thing. I think I read, I kind of like the line, it's more than blind ambition. It's more than simple greed, more than a finish line. It must be a burning need. And I don't really like counting closings. I am aware of it, but I don't really like counting that. What I do like is I like counting the things that matter, the little things that matter every day. We call those leading measures, remember? Remember the 4 disciplines of execution? Okay, the 4 disciplines of execution. I like counting that. I think if we count the things that are the leading measures, we can celebrate that. So I hope you guys know I love you. Remember what your clients are after. I think that VRBO commercial is a good reminder about why we do what we do and why we're important. Because there's going to be families that need those experiences. We all need those experiences, and they matter way more than what we're purchasing for these properties. So let's keep our eye on that, and you're valued. I hope you can go forward today with some renewed enthusiasm, some positivity, and some optimism, that you have all the resources you need to succeed. This is the best place to be, guys. If you don't know that, it would break my heart that if we have agents in this company who don't realize that Berkshire is the best place to be, that breaks my heart, because it's so true that it is. And it's heartfelt. It's a heartfelt endeavor. This whole thing about, we love you all. It's true. It's authentic. We do care about every one of you, and we want the best for you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for joining for coaching. Thanks for all the input today. Thanks, Shane Roxburgh, for jumping on and sharing his thoughts. And I appreciate Mike covering for last week, and appreciate all you. So have a wonderful day, and let's go out there and help someone, because what we do matters, right? Thank you.